So I just got back from Atonal in Berlin. And one of the big topics that I reflected on there is how much artists use feedback loops within their composition. And it's been something that I've always been aware existed, but it never really opened up for me. It never became something that I really wanted to dive into because I didn't really get why it was exciting. And now I get why it's exciting. So what I'd love to do is today just do a small introduction so you also get why it's exciting. This is not a big, comprehensive, exhaustive list of how to do feedback. We're just going to dip our toes in, so to speak, okay? And so what we're trying to achieve sounds a bit like this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're setting up a very simple signal flow where the signal gets fed back onto itself to create like a kind of a screeching, crazy runaway point. And then all the timbres and textures that are involved in it are going to start responding a bit chaotically. And that's what we want. We want to sort of feed chaos into what we're doing so that one small organic movement creates a knock-on effect that sort of smears out sound in a big, beautiful, organic, crazy way. We're going to get big volume jumps for this. So what I need you to do, no matter what, is to protect your ears during this. We can get very creative and playful and wild, but at some point you are going to need to just put a limiter in your signal chain and make sure that it doesn't blow out your ears, because this kind of an approach can go from very quiet to unbearably loud like this. So don't work quiet and then turn up your headphones, turn them up, and then hit a feedback point and then absolutely get deafened. I don't want that to happen to any of you. So please protect yourself. So this signal flow is essentially inspired by Empty Set, R. Rose, Kang Ding Ray, and a very unlikely addition to that list, an artist called Mouth Wound. I'm just going to leave that name here and you can research it yourself if you're feeling adventurous. Anyway, the concepts that we're going to work with are very similar to Empty Set. And what does Empty Set do? Well, Empty Set just uses big thudding sine waves. And I like to do that with Punchbox. Punchbox is this. It's a kick VST. It's by D16 Group. And you can sort of make it very punchy, or you can just make it a subsine. See, this is if you would sweep it down, but you can just turn it into almost a sine wave with no impact, you know? That's what we just want for today. What we want is something that gives a bit of a rhythm so that this other thing we can now put into feedback. In following Empty Set's approach, this other thing is just noise. We've just got an operator, the simplest synthesizer I've got, with white noise instead of sine waves, and a bandpass filter on there. So it's just doing this every 16th note. I like this Euclidean sequencer. I've been using it a lot recently, but it's doing nothing special, just playing every 16th. Here, let's make a little hole in the pattern. And it's got a little LFO now on the decay parameter so that it moves a bit, you know? Cool. We've got an element that moves. That's really nice. Now let's start setting up our return channels. And I'm going to just start from scratch. To make a return channel, boom, right? There it is. Our first return channel is just going to be hall reverb. That's going to be very innocent. Our second one is going to be delay. Also very innocent. I'm going to put some kind of a hall reverb. Yeah, that's nice. And then let's put some delay on here as well. 100% wet, quite high feedback at some random tempo. Yeah, this is fine, because these are just the thing that we're going to be using afterwards to sweeten the deal. Because what we're really looking for is insert return channel, hop, feedback. This is where it gets gnarly, right? You see here, the sends can also be sent to other sends or to themselves. And this is the magic. You just right click and you do enable send or enable all sends. And so if I feed C back to C, whatever comes out of C goes back into C. You can imagine that can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. So that is why right now, let's do our ear hygiene move, and we are going to make sure that we've got limiters going. So a limiter on the master. See, this is dangerous, because if you turn this up, see how much volume, see how much headroom there is that can still blast you in the ears? That's a bit dangerous. So maybe let's make sure that our full composition here, is hitting near the max. So that when our volume spikes, it can't go that much louder, you know? And then in the feedback loop, we do the same. We also put in a limiter. By the way, a kind of cool limiter that I like, you can just use Ableton's limiter, but a kind of cool limiter that I like is this one called Frontier. It just looks real cool. And it doesn't really start crackling when you pump it pretty hard. It's very vibey. We're going to put this noise into the feedback loop and just crank it. And we're not even going to put anything else in the signal chain just yet. Later, we're going to start trying all sorts of things in this, but not yet. First, we're just going to make some sound. So, no, we're going to see this one. Yeah. Okay, cool. You see it showing up here? This is working now, right? So now let's feed C back to C. There we go. See what's happening here? Oh, we're not even hitting our... Whoa! There we go. I was about to say, we're not even hitting our limiter. So our noise isn't, our sound isn't doing this runaway thing. And now it did. Right? There's two separate ideas here, right? One is that a sound is obviously getting much louder, and that's something that we're going to have to fix in the mix down by like mixing it in at an appropriate volume and maybe managing the dynamic range of it. On the other hand, a sound is changing its quality very drastically. It's becoming like the timbre of it is changing very drastically. And so that is something that we do want to explore. So we kind of want these runaway moments. So let's just see how much we can get the volume under control. Cool. So in every feedback loop, there's kind of this like biting point, this moment when things start to get exponential, when things start to get out of hand, right? And what you might want to do is just find that biting point and stay a little bit below it and then go over it and then below it and over it and below it, like this, kind of surfing on that wave, you know? The easiest way to do it is here. So you go where it's chill and then you go just over the biting points. You can hear it. And right now, honestly, the sound doesn't get too crazy, you know? So what are we gonna do? We're gonna, first of all, sweeten it by putting it into some reverb and some delay. We've already set that up. And we're also just gonna start messing around playfully with putting anything in the signal chain. Literally anything. Every single audio effect is going to create something chaotic to this, and that's what we want. So let's sweeten it a little bit by giving it some reverb and some delay. It's a good start. So let's put in, like we said, any other sound effect. How about maybe some ring modulation? I always like some ring modulation. See, the cool thing is that you hit that moment when it kind of gets gnarly, and then that goes into the long delay, and so that kind of knocks on over time. Very cool. Another thing that's very empty set coded, or something that empty set would do, is stick on a sidechain compressor and heavily sidechain from the kick. So let's see. And actually we want the sounds to really transform drastically. So what do we want to do? We want to turn off the dry sound of this noise and only hear the feedback. So what we want to do is we want to turn down the fader entirely and then do pre-fader. So this thing is listening to the sound pre-fader. So now we're just hearing the feedback. Yeah. Do you hear these sidechain waves coming in? Goes away, comes back. Let me make it a little darker maybe. And now let's get more playful with adding some movement. Maybe we can put in another LFO, or maybe even a shaper, which is almost like an LFO in a way. And just get really creative with where we map things to. Just really go nuts. I'm gonna keep searching a bit to try and find a bit of a sweet spot. Heck yeah. Obviously, I'm evolving towards something more techno, and I didn't intend that to be, and I'm not going to develop this as a techno track right now. But you can see the kind of spacey vibes that you can get, right? Love that. That's so nice. Let's see what other kind of audio effects we can put in the signal chain to see what we can get. Yeah, let's maybe do a little bit of a phaser. I was laughing at Mordio last week that this is always something he seems to do on every channel. Oh, making it very stereo. Cool, and once you start to feel like you've got something, I try to always encourage people to work in the triangle method. You'll see that come up in many of my other videos. But I just like to resample things to audio. So what I would like to do here is just take whatever comes out of number C and just do hop, hit record, and just go. Boom. See it being recorded here. And then I can just mess with this, find the biting point again. There we go. Whenever it becomes a bit too much, I go below the biting point. And then sometimes I go over it. And I just take my time to record this. Because then, afterwards, that audio, I can get more creative with it, you know? Here, let me show you. Now, I did record it dry. There's no reverb or delay on it, so it's going to sound really dry. Yeah, that's cool. But this chaotic element now, we can make it more predictable. We just loop it. Hell yeah. Nice. Let's add some sweetness to it. Now we've created a weird sound designy element. And the beauty of feedback is that we've set up a complex, chaotic system. So if you change the input even a little bit, something totally new will come out. So what do? We turn off that noise, and this new thing, we send that to the feedback instead. Oh, weird. Freaky. We can do the same again and hit record on the next one. Look at this madness. And we hit play on it, mute everything else. This is what we're hearing here with nothing else. It's pretty cool, huh? And you could again simplify that by looping just, I don't know, a bar. Why not? And this way you can set up many different feedback chains, try different types of inputs into different feedback chains, figure out which effects attract you the most and what kind of effect to give which kind of qualities to the feedback. Like I said, this was just a brief introduction. I'm fairly new myself to feedback, so leave in the comments, please, some advice or some tips or what works very well for you so that I can then deepen a little bit my research and my knowledge. Otherwise, just leave me a comment to say something nice to me, like the video, subscribe, and until next time, stay producing, be good to each other, and take care. Bye-bye.